For tuning into the 63 podcast. I'm your host, Joel, with my co host, Ben. And we are back for our position rankings pre NFL season. And we've tried to milk this out as long as possible. Really, we did. But Dalvin Cook is still not signed, and we are still yet going to try to rank our running backs, which could vary a little bit by by season start if and when Dalvin gets signed. And obviously Zeke Elliott's still out there too. There's a few free agent running backs, but yeah, Sony Michel's the last bigger one to get signed. So with that, I guess my first pick will be the San Francisco 49ers with Christian McCaffrey, who played, I think, a full year last year when he split between Carolina and San Francisco. So that was a rarity for me. Maybe that means he's due for an injury-riddled year, but then you have an injury-riddled running back who can average 6 yards a carry, and Elijah Mitchell. A lot of people are pretty high on Tyrion Davis-Price. To maybe have like a breakout year, especially if one of those dudes goes down. And I still think even with talented running backs like Mitchell and McCaffrey, Shanahan loves putting them all out there. We're going to see Jordan Mason this year too. Kyle Juszczyk is always leading fullbacks and carries per year. And I think obviously Juszczyk is probably the best fullback in the league. So that felt like I mean, I wouldn't say any of these running backs like jump out like, last several years it's always been like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and then they had like Dimitri Felton there too, and it's like that's pretty solid. But then I think they had Carlos Hyde even 3-4 years. I remember at the beginning when we started doing this, it was almost always like Browns were top 3, and I still think they're probably going to hang around top 3. But I'm going to go with 49ers.
No, I think they're the deepest. I think Elijah Mitchell could be a number 1 on a lot of teams. Christian McCaffrey puts him over the top, and I do agree. I mean, Juszczyk is probably the best fullback, and they use him, so it's kind of the difference. I really do think that's the right pick there. I mean, you can go back and forth with a couple different teams. The team I'll go number 2. I'll go with the Browns. Nick Chubb is sometimes I feel like he can be underrated for some reason, and he's easily a top 5 back. Jerome Ford, Dimitri Felton, and then John Kelly Jr. and Nate McCrary. Chubb has been, he's a PFF darling. PFF loves him, but he's ranked near the top of the NFL in yards per carry the entire time he's been in the NFL. He's just he's just been a dominant force, and
a great mix of explosive, powerful.
Yeah, and he's one of the faster running backs in the league too, even though he's huge. So it's kind of like Derrick Henry in that sense, where it's just like you don't think about him as a speed guy, but when he gets up to top speed, it's like, oh, okay. So
Derrick Henry's downhill speed is nuts.
Yeah. So I really do think Nick Chubb and the Browns deserve to be number 2. Chubb for some reason does. I don't know if it like. When you say who's the number 1 running back in the NFL, I mean, I think Chubb's name needs to be mentioned, and sometimes it's not. So definitely they deserve to be in the top 3.
He's been at least he's always like a top 3 or 4 running back picked in fantasy the last couple of years. So,
yep.
I mean, obviously we found out. I just found out about my original number 3. And I'm wondering if I'd take a deeper team like my number 4 at that position. Yeah, Spears is pretty solid as a rookie. He's gonna be a rookie this year out of Tulane. I'll take Titans. Derrick Henry, I still think has one more year left in him where he's gonna be a really strong back in this league. Tyjae Spears, I was actually really high on him coming out of Tulane this year. Obviously Hassan Haskins' situation is up in the air. After 5 days ago, aggravated assault charge. So we at least milked up the running back group long enough to wait and see what happens with Hassan Haskins. And then Julius Chestnut's there. Jonathan Ward has some experience in the NFL too with the Cardinals and stuff. So those guys may not even make the team. They usually carry 3 running backs just because Henry takes so much of the backfield time. So but it'll be interesting to see Tyjae Spears kind of alleviate some of that a little bit this year. I think we're going to still see some Spears. So,
the
number 3 for the Titans.
I'll go with the Packers at number 4. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are a great 1-2 punch. They're just different. Patrick Taylor's there as well. Lou Nichols, Tyler Goodson. I liked him out of Iowa, and then Henry Pearson. It's a pretty deep room. I think Jones, is more of the explosive back. And then AJ Dillon will just run through your face. Dillon's one of the bigger running backs in the NFL. So I think they complement each other really well. And some of those other guys, we'll see if they kind of work out. But I do think they've got some depth there. So they will need to lean on the running game this year. So I think you're going to see a lot of the running backs.
Yeah, until Jordan Love gets acclimated to the NFL speed, I think because he just hasn't played enough yet still.
No.
Being an Aaron Rodgers shadow the whole time. So yeah, you're right. This running back group is going to need to be good. Thankfully, their offensive line was also ranked at 11, so there should be
I don't
space
think
for.
they're going to be that horrible on offense. I really don't. I mean, unless Jordan Love is just horrible. But I mean, they're not going to be able to do what they've done in the past. So it'll be a different looking offense for sure.
Yeah, number 5, I'm going to go with the Vegas Raiders. Josh Jacobs, I think, is easily a top 3 running back right now in the league. Zamir White supposed to be pretty solid. A lot of Vegas fans are still pretty high on him. We know Amir Abdullah, even though he's like 31 now. Brandon Bolden's also about 31, 32 years old. So they've got some real veterans back there. And Britton Brown spent some time with the Eagles, and Jakob Johnson playing fullback. I think only like 13 or 14 of these teams right now are carrying a fullback. Jakob Johnson's pretty solid. Played with the Patriots too before he came over to the Raiders.
Yep. I like it. Is this 6?
Yeah.
I'll go with the Giants at 6. Saquon and Matt Breida are a good 1-2. Eric Gray is interesting. I like Eric Gray. I think he's got a chance to stick in the league, especially as a third down back. He's a good receiver. Gary Brightwell, and then Jayshon Corbin. Obviously, Saquon is, probably one of the most talented running backs on the list. And his production was better in 2022, but we'll see. We'll kind of see if he can take it to the next level and kind of be that dominant force that everybody kind of expected him to be when he got into the league. And if he can stay healthy for a couple years in a row, that's really the key. But I do like the depth there. Like I already mentioned Gray, but Matt Braid has been around the league for a while and he's very fast. So they do have some ability there. So they definitely deserve to be easily in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers here. Yeah. Retaining Austin Eckler was a big move. He was when we first started doing position rankings, he was an up in the air situation. And he's now been, I think, signed to a 4-year deal with the Chargers. Isaiah Spiller's still like that, one of the better running backs that came out of the class with Kareem Walker. And so I think they're still pretty high on him. Joshua Kelly has proved to be pretty successful around that 10th ranked offense, behind that 10th ranked offensive line that we have here. Larry Roundtree, so I think he played for TCU, right? And then Xander Horvath out of Penn State, I think. Purdue, yep, Purdue. I knew it was big time with a P. Yep, thanks.
Purdue. He's interesting because he's more of a fullback type, but he played running back because Purdue never used fullback, and that'll be. He actually could be pretty good in the league.
He was like the Peyton Hillis for Purdue for a little bit there.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go with the Colts here.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, I think he had his worst season last year, but I think it just that whole season was just kind of got derailed pretty quickly for the Colts. But he still had 4.5 yards a carry. I think that you could see that. He still has the ability. That was just a down year for him and the team in general. Zach Moss has been around for a while, provides really good depth there. Deion Jackson, Evan Hull out of Northwestern. I liked him in college. Jake Funk, and then Darius Hagans. They have some interesting guys kind of after the top 2, but I do think the top 2 are as good of a 2 as you'll find. Just those 2 guys have definitely. Zach Moss is one of the better backups around. So.
I've really kind of gone back and forth on taking this early, but I think I'm going to take the Falcons.
Okay. Yeah.
They just drafted Bijan Robinson, who I think is a guy that should be almost a shoo-in for 900 plus yards every year if he's healthy.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Algier just had 1,000 yards last year as a rookie. Like it was a situation where it's like you probably figured the Falcons were going to still draft the running back because Algier turned out to be more of a steal. He's like a fourth round pick. So I think Algier is a great number 2. And obviously now they can probably use Cordero Patterson a little bit more in the passing game.
Yeah.
Cordero has done a nice job at the running back position too, with Bears and Falcons in the past. They don't hate Caleb Huntley either, and Keith Smith has been a fullback in this league, I think, going into 8 years. So just pretty solid backfield there, and it's obviously banking that Bijan is the running back that we expect him to be, like probably a once in a decade type of running back, really out of college.
Yep. What number is this?
I think this is 10.
Well, the Jets. Brees Hall pre-injury last year was figuring it out. He was really good, explosive. I think I think that was a really nice pickup for the Jets when they drafted him. Michael Carter II is a good backup, always has been. Zonovan Knight, and then Israel Abanikanda, who I think actually could be a pretty good back in the league. He was very good in college, especially this past year. And Travis Dye, who was really good at Oregon before he got hurt last year, and then Oregon, and then transferred to USC, and they got hurt at the end of the year last year. And then Nick Bawden. I think it's a deep group. I think they've got some interesting pieces there. But Brees Hall is really good. So I think depending on how he comes back from that injury, I think he's going to have a really good year and a really good career.
I think obviously we see how much punishment running backs do take, because whether we're making this list based on potential rookie potential or basing it on making like the comeback that he was already off to the really great start last year.
Yeah, I think it was his first game. I think their first game he scored on like not a trick play, it was like some sort of reverse where he was playing like a wing, came around and like scored like a 70-yard touchdown. And that was his only, like, he only had like 4 or 5 carries that first game. They were still working him in. And I was like, all right, like he's got to be the guy. Like he clearly was the best running back on that team. And then, they obviously worked him in and started using him more of like a workhorse back. And it was just kind of a bummer to see him go down because I do think he could have had a really good year. So we'll see. But he's that up and coming, that next kind of class of running backs. That's, we'll see where he ends up.
I am like so tempted to do. I don't think I want to jump him that high yet. Here, I gotta keep thinking. When I first made these rankings, also that I sent you, like, thankfully they're not as recent. Like, I think I made these rankings 5-6 weeks ago, even. So,
yeah. A lot of this isn't going to change too. There's a couple things. I'm assuming you still want us to rank Dalvin Cook just as the Vikings, and then.
Oh, I actually want you to rank him as a free agent. If he's a free agent right now, I want to do it. Try to as of today. Yeah.
Okay. So do it as.
That's why I even added Sony Michel back to the Rams. I try to at least I updated the players. I just didn't update my number.
That's fine. So if for the Vikings it'll be
Alex Madison.
Alexander Madison is technically the number 1 right now.
Yeah.
Now we'll see what happens.
I think he probably will be, but it's still it does make him a little lower, though. I do think Madison's a very talented back.
I do, but they are not in the top 10 obviously anymore.
Well, I don't think they're super deep right now. Obviously
the guys after Madison, I like Madison actually a lot, like you said, but like Chandler, they're not. No,
Chandler McBride. McBride out of UAB was solid. I think Chandler went to North Carolina.
Yeah,
and Wangwu out of Iowa State. Yeah, CJ Ham's a good fullback, but yeah, I think I'm gonna really been thinking about jumping the Lions up, but I don't think I'm gonna do that yet. I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
Yep.
You're next. I think Kenneth Walker, the third, also showed he's a pretty quality, capable running back in the NFL. That it wasn't just him being the best player in Michigan State for no reason. That one year that Mel Tucker got all the money from him because of him. I would say Zach Charbonnet is expected to see the ball a lot this year. He's also a solid pass catching running back, hard running back to bring down. So I like Zach Charbonnet. DJ Dallas has played with the Seahawks now. I think this is going to be his 4th year with the Seahawks. So he's understands the scheme, the system, plays hard. And then Nick Bellore, who I know you love. You love yourself some Nick Bellore.
Ballore, I love Nick Ballore. I think he's
And then
good.
Kenny McIntosh is also on that roster just in case. So
Um. Okay, that was 11.
this would be 12 here.
So we 12 now. Um, I do like a lot of these running back rooms.
A lot of them aren't super separated from each other, in my opinion. But
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
okay, yeah.
Joe Mixon, Chase Brown out of Illinois. It's a great pickup. I think he could end up being a really good running back in the NFL. Travion Williams, um, Chris Evans still there. It's a third down back, really good receiver, and then Calvin Tyler Jr. So I think they're deep. I think Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's weird because like he's got the body type of like a workhorse back, but then you look at his stats and it's like he's never has bad stats at all. But it's like
Mhm.
14 carries for like 75 yards and a touchdown pretty consistently. And you're like, all right, like that's pretty good, but it's like you always wait for him to break out. And then typically, like for like 2 weeks straight, he just goes crazy where he'll run for like 500 yards in 2 weeks. And you're like, what in the world? And then that's his season.
Yep. It's
So
par
it's
for the
like
course.
you can never have him on a fantasy team because you're like, you stunk for 6 weeks. And then those 2 weeks, he won you easily won you by the week by himself. And you're like, oh, that's why I drafted him. But it's usually in like week 14.
The problem is you have to keep starting him because he's going to happen at some
Yeah.
point. You just have to keep, and you have to deal with those lows, and you have to
Because he has some
pick
bad
games.
games. Like he'll have like 9 carries, 33 yards, and no touchdowns and a
Mhm.
fumble. And you're
Yeah,
like, what are we doing here? And
finish
then
it gets you like a whopping 3 points. Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, what are we doing here? And then the next week he'll have 47. I think he have the record for most points in a week? Does he still have it?
No, I thought it was Tyreek Hill.
Maybe Tyreek has it
I
now.
think Tyreek Hill is like 4 touchdowns, like 220 yards, and like I think it was a PPR league, and they had like 11 catches.
Joe
So
Mixon,
I guess I could.
most PPR points in a single game by Joe Mixon. Let's see. He had 55.1 one time. That's the
And
one I said.
oh yeah, he does. And Jamar Chase is 55-6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
55.1 against Carolina. That's pretty good. Pretty good. 22 for carries for 153 yards and 4 touchdowns.
And I bet if we looked at the game log of him in 2020 and 2022 also, you'd see a lot of like 4-point duds in there too. It's just like literally what you just talked about. But
Yep. And then you'd still look at the end and he's like, oh, he's a top 10 running back.
yep.
Like pretty
Every
easily,
year.
actually.
Every
Pretty
year he is
easily.
a top 10. Every year he's a
You're
top
like,
10 running
like,
back.
why did we draft? And then you draft him and you feel good about it. And then you sit there and you're like, why did I draft this guy? He's a bum. You
It's
even
like, is
debate.
this going to be the year where he doesn't make a roster, gets cut?
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, I do actually like Joe Mixon, and I like that running back room a lot. So,
I think I'm going to I am going to take him. I'm going to take the Lions. David, David Montgomery. Great pickup. In fact, I think in a lot of ways is actually an improvement, a slight upgrade even over DeAndre Swift. Jahmyr Gibbs, for this year, especially with Jameson being out the first 6 games, he's going to be huge as a PPR running back, and in those first 6 games. Craig Reynolds has proven that when he gets his chance to start, 19 carries, 100 yards, get you a touchdown. So he can do it, and I think a lot of running backs will find a way to do it with this offensive line that we obviously we ranked at 1. With that, they also signed undrafted free agent Mo Ibrahim, who was like a former Big Ten running back of the year, and then they get Jason Kabinda, who can play emergency linebacker if they need him to.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up some sort of fullback type human at some point. Dan Campbell's their head coach. So
I really thought Ben Mason was the pick that year.
I really did. I mean, he didn't. He went to the other team that would make sense for him.
Yeah. Yeah, another
But
Harbaugh team. Right.
yeah, but at the same time, I do think, yeah, I mean, I like this running back room. I know, like there was, I think most, if we were to ever recap the draft now, how we think about it now, I think most people are not unhappy that Jameer Gibbs is on the Lions team. I think most people were just kind of questioning when they
Did
picked
we
him.
know? Did we know that we knew that Jameson was already suspended at that point?
I
Didn't we?
don't think we did. Maybe they
Okay.
did though. The Lions might have, but I don't think
Yeah.
the public knew yet. So that's kind of,
Okay.
I was actually going to get to that. Like maybe the Lions knew and they were like, we need a playmaker, we need the speed. Um, and I think it signals that they're going for it, and they're really. I mean, you can kind of see where we've ranked them now. They're
I mean, yeah, 10 at quarterback, 13 running back, 24 at tight end is their weakest point so far.
yep,
One for offensive line. Head coach we have right in the smack middle at 15. Special
yep,
teams at 23, but all punter, all punter.
yep.
So
Yeah, they don't kick field goals anyway.
yeah, and we barely punt. So Jack
And they
Fox is
really
almost
punt. So sorry, Fox. I
if
mean,
Jack Fox is gonna punt, he's gonna throw.
yeah, exactly. So they're just gonna go for it on fourth down most time anyway. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I think you can see like we really do like this team this year, and there's been past years too where we like the team, but this year I do feel the best about it. And
I'm trying to see
uh,
where I already ranked them at. And same with wide receiver that I have them in the top half of the top 16 too. So
yep, yeah, they're in the top half for me easily. So um, I'm gonna take the Jaguars here.
yep, they're good.
Travis Etienne, I think, is really good. I mean, I think he's a complete back. Tank Bigsby is that's an interesting pick or interesting guy there. I think he was underrated in college actually. Michael Hasty, Dearness Johnson, Snoop Connor, and Derek Parrish. Um, I think it's pretty deep. I like the top three for sure.
I think
Um,
Derek Parrish is the worst fullback on this list, but like that's such a deep
yeah,
running
but
back
I don't
room.
think they'll use him as much at all.
Yeah, I know. But like Dearness Johnson did great for the Browns when he was there. Obviously, remember Jermichael Hasty filling in for the 49ers because the 49ers use everybody too.
Yep.
Hasty's extremely fast, and Tank Bigsby was always like that Auburn. So it's I really
Yeah.
like that too.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm gonna hold off on my number 14 again. I'm just gonna keep milking that out. Um,
That's because they have the smallest human on Earth on their
I know. Yeah, that's why.
little midget
The
as a
fourth
running
guy
back.
that I listed, yeah, that's why. I'm gonna go with I think just based on like start power, I'm gonna go with the Steelers here. Najee Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, he's their bell cow. So I mean, you look at Jalen Warren, Anthony McFarland, Jason Huntley, former Lion there. You look at those guys and it's like they're not as necessary. Najee Harris is going to get 20 to 28 carries a game
hmm
with them. Um,
I
I
actually
think
like I actually like Booger's son. I think
yeah,
he's really
he's
fast and
yeah, he's
explosive. I
quick.
like him,
Maryland always puts out some really athletic running backs.
but I just don't know if he's ever gonna kind of stick in the NFL. But I do like his ability.
Because Monty Potabom, did he go to Iowa? Was he Iowa? I want to say
He
Monty
might have been
Potabom was
actually.
Iowa. I'm gonna double check though. Yep, Iowa sure was.
Nice.
So yeah, he's their fullback, but I don't hate that room at all. It's a good
No.
middle ground right there.
What number was that?
So I think that was 15.
Okay. I'll go with the uh, I'll go with the Saints. 16. Alvin Kamara is still a star. If he can stay healthy and they use him properly, I do
Is he
think.
suspended though for the first several games?
I don't really know what's going on there, but they do have insurance. Jamal Williams had a great year last year with the Lions. You know, at times I think I'm sad to see him go, but at the same time, like I'm sad to see him go because I think he was a great locker room guy, great team guy, and he did have an incredible season last year. Um, but I don't think I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line. Um, not taking anything away from him, but I think I'm not sure that's going to happen again for him. Kendre
Yeah.
Miller out of TCU, I believe. Not a bad back there. Benjamin's bounced around the league a little bit. Um, I think he ended up at Arizona State when he was in college. And then Adam Prentice rounds it out. So I mean, if you take Kamara out, I probably move down a few more. But I really actually I don't hate the top four really. Solid backs across the board. So
So actually, I think this probably isn't a bad spot for them because I think an unsuspended Kamara probably would even put them up another 3 to 5 spots for me.
mhm.
I think I just tried to like he was almost certainly expected, at least as of a month and a half ago, expected to be suspended
Mhm.
for at least most of the season, just because he has the felony battery charge
Right.
that he got from the 2022 Pro Bowl.
Yep.
So, but I haven't seen any update on it since the end of May. That's like the last article on it. So,
Yeah.
who knows?
That nothing's happened. They're just suspending guys left and right for gambling, and then they're doing nothing about him.
Yeah, it looks like it could be at least a 6 to 8 game suspension. So not, I guess, that bad. But
Yeah.
all right. 17.
The last article I remember seeing about him is Derek Carr thinks he's amazing,
Oh,
so he's practicing.
I mean,
But
Jameson Williams is a lot of practice too.
yeah,
I know.
that doesn't
So,
mean anything.
I am not going to take just be like the number 19 that I have. That third running back listed is no longer on the roster. He got cut, so that changes a little bit.
And I like him.
Yeah, he would be a bad free agent pickup at all.
No.
But I am gonna go with. No, I don't think I want to go with them yet either. What's the point one? I'm pushing a lot of these teams down just as I'm looking at them. Like, I don't like that room actually. Um, I'll take the Eagles here next.
Yeah, actually, this room, the Eagles might even be a little low. Depends on what Swift they get, obviously. But
My initial ranking, I had them at it was 21. I think they're better than that looking at it now. I mean, DeAndre Swift, a healthy Swift's really solid. Kenneth Gainwell's really athletic and can kind of do a lot of things in that offense. Rashad Penny is going to give you 6 games of healthy, and then he's gone. But you take what you can get. Boston Scott seems to find the end zone. So
he's very fast.
Trey Sermon's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
It's
like all these guys. I like all five of those backs. They're going to use all five because all five of these guys get hurt.
yeah, that's true.
So I guess I mean that's the only real knock on them is none of these guys ever stay healthy. But
Mhm.
they have a really good offensive line too, so it'll be interesting to see some of these guys running behind it. Um, hmm. I'll take the Panthers.
Yeah, yeah.
Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Raheem Blackshear, and Spencer Brown. Miles Sanders, I think, is still an upper level back when healthy. Chuba Hubbard was one of the best running backs in college football a few years ago. Raheem Blackshear is really fast out of Rutgers. So I do really like those top three. They all do different things well. We'll see how healthy everybody is. That's the biggest thing. I don't think the Panthers are going to be great this next year, but I think they could be. They could surprise some teams. Should have never gotten rid of Wilkes, but that's just me.
All right, I think it's been over. I think I've pushed it out long enough. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys here.
Okay.
Tony Pollard is expected to still be a really good running back, and I think he's always been solid, super fast. Ronald Jones Jr. is going to get another opportunity to see how he can do. Malik Davis earned some playing time after his performance last year. Then they got Deuce Vaughn, who I'm sure they're going to try to figure out a way to implement him in that offense. Maybe even it's like a Walmart version of Tariq Cohen. They'll try to figure something out. And then they drafted Hunter Lepke, like South Dakota State this year, I think. So it shouldn't be
fun, but I think he's actually a good football player.
size does matter actually.
I mean, he's five. What he list at?
I think he's 5'7", 5'7" best case.
He's like 5'6",
Let me
but
see.
he was like 179 at the combine.
He was measured at 5'5" at the combine.
179 though.
So 5'5", 1. Well, I mean, junior year shows him at 176 and 5'6". You know, they tried to upsell that a little bit. 5'5" and 178 is what I see.
That's just too small.
Yeah.
Like no.
I'm picturing myself sitting next to him, a 6'3", 233-pound man sitting right next to this guy. And it would
Yeah,
feel weird that I look large to this compared to this man.
yeah. I mean, he's just that's too small. It's just too small, you know. And hopefully, maybe I mean, maybe he was cutting weight too, because it did look
Hmm.
like he played heavier during the year because he did carry the ball a lot for Kansas State. So maybe he cut weight to try to run a good 40 time, or who knows, at the combine. But it's just too small. And I do like him as a football player, and hopefully they figure it out. But to me, it was a pick that was just because his dad works for him. So
Yeah.
all right,
All right, number 20.
20.
Yep.
Um, I'll put the Vikings at 20.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I almost
I
forgot about them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, Alexander Madison, Ty Chandler, Dwayne McBride, Kenny Nwangwu, and CJ Ham. I think it's still a pretty good room. Um, Alexander Madison, I think if he's the feature back, I think uh, could prove some people wrong. So I do think he's pretty good. So
They do have probably the most average offensive line in the league. I think we put
yeah,
them kind of right at the halfway point.
they're really
So,
okay. I
yeah.
do think their offense will still be good. Um, I still question most of their defense, but that's for the
Their
most
their defense has a lot of superstars and there's a lot of holes. It's
Yeah,
just,
I mean
yeah.
they're not deep. We got some dudes and that's about it.
Oh man. Let's see, 20. I skip it. I do actually like the Commanders running back room here. The first three running backs have all proven success. I mean, Brian Robinson, obviously with the getting shot thing,
Yep.
slowed his start. But when he played again, he was good. Antonio Gibson's had 1,000-yard seasons already. Jarrett Patterson has had several 100-yard games. So it's like all the way through, they're solid. And then they pick up Alex Armah, who's known as probably a top 5 fullback in the league. So, um, yeah, I
Yep.
think they can go here.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna pick the Ravens. J.K. Dobbins is kind of fallen off a little bit just because teams, just because he got hurt, right? But I still think he can be really good. Gus Edwards has been around and successful for a while. Justice Hill is also proven himself. Keaton Mitchell, and then Art. I mean, I know we said Uchek is the number one fullback, but I think Patrick Ricard might have an argument to be the number one fullback as well. He's been doing it for a long time, and Ben Mason also. We like Ben Mason, so
We like Ben Mason. Yeah, Alec Ingold's the other one that always pops out as being another
yeah,
really good fullback.
I like Patrick Ricard a lot, though. I think he's really good.
So who do I still need to look at? Gotta hold off on the James Robinson list team a second. I don't see it now without him as a
Yeah,
running back there.
I don't,
Um,
I don't see it either. We're almost to the point where some of these teams are not good anymore.
yeah, I know it's like you probably could, but I'm gonna take the Broncos
Yeah.
next year. Javonte Williams is one of my favorite running backs to watch because he just keeps moving. He'll take
Mhm.
piles with him. Obviously, his season got cut a little short last year, but just love the way he plays. Samaje Perine is there to kind of give him the Melvin Gordon insurance. They're very similar running backs.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon obviously was signed. I think he was signed by the Chiefs now. So
Yeah.
um,
How that goes.
trying to think. I'm gonna check for an update on Melvin Gordon because I saw he was picked up by the Chiefs and then I thought he got dropped shortly after. So yeah, he's not on the Chiefs. He's a free agent now. Melvin Gordon's free agent. Okay. Yeah, Javonte Williams, my JP Ryan, Tony Jones with the Saints.
Yep.
Had some playing time. Demaria Crockett is there, and then former line and chief Michael Burton. So really solid fullback there too.
Yep. Um, we're kind of at the point of. I'll take the Patriots.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson, I do like him. I do think he's a good back. Ty Montgomery's been around a while doing it. Pierre Strong and then Kevin Harris. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to pick somebody else up at some point.
I mean, right now we talked about how the Patriots are the number one odds for both D Hop and Dalvin Cook right now.
Right. So
That does change the schematics a little bit.
if they get Dalvin Cook, they're moving way up. I'll say that.
I think with Ramondre and Dalvin, yeah, we'll talk about it at the end of this, where we try to place them with the top 3 teams that are most likely to land them. But yeah, that's Ramondre Stevenson's obviously going to be the bell cow there right now.
Yeah.
Ty Montgomery might be used in past situations, but
yeah, he's a good receiver and has turned into a solid number 2 or 3 running back as well. So
let's see. All right, I'm going to take the Rams now. With especially with Sony Michel coming back. I think that's really going to help Cam Akers. Like, we've got to see if he can be consistent. Like, he's had games where he's 120 yards a game, and then he's got, next game he's averaging 2.5 yards a carry, best case. So he gets shut down so much.
Yeah.
I think that's the one knock on Cam Akers is his vision. I think he finds himself running into his offensive line too much, and it just slows him down. So, but then they got Kieran Williams out of Notre Dame. Who was initially planning on having to take that number 2 running back role before Sony Michel. Zach Evans is there, Ronnie Rivers, and Tyon Evans. I don't really care about any of those bottom 3 guys. They may not even make the roster, but Kieran Williams, Sony Michel, and Cam Akers are solid 3.
Yep. What number is this?
So the Rams just went 25, supposed to be 26.
I'll take the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco, I think, runs really hard, and I think he kind of proved himself to be really, really, really solid last year. Jet McKinnon's super fast. They're going to find a role for him, whatever that may be. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is kind of the wild card here because I do think healthy Clyde Edwards-Helaire and productive Clyde Edwards-Helaire is really good. And he fits that offense perfectly, but we'll see how healthy he is. And they will immediately replace him with somebody else if he's not they need a running back that can do a lot, and he can do a lot, but if he's unhealthy or unproductive, they'll just Jet McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco will play more. And then Michael P. Ryan and then Deneric Prince. So they'll the Chiefs always kind of get good production out of their backs.
6th round pick Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I mean, and I always liked him in college too.
I did too. Yeah.
I thought he was a diamond in the rough, but they'll get good production out of their backs just because the threat of Mahomes in the passing game opens up the running game for them a lot. They don't run the ball a lot, but they run it enough. So I think it's an underrated room, even having them this low. I just think there's no star there at all. So.
Number 27, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Deontay Foreman. I'm really nervous if he plays the Lions twice a year like he did with the Panthers in that one game. I'm not excited about what him and Chuba Hubbard did to the Lions last year, but Khalil Herbert, when David Montgomery was out or needed to break, Khalil Herbert's out there getting 90 to 110 yards a game rushing too. So he's just got such capabilities coming out of Virginia Tech. Then they draft Bijan's backup, who probably is a starter on a lot of other D1 colleges, Roshan Johnson.
Yeah.
They also pick up Travis Homer off the Seahawks, who's got 5 or 6 years in the league as a running back. And then a former running back, converted fullback, Kari Blasingame there. Yep. So former Titan there. But yeah, it's to me, actually, if I really sit and think about it, I'm like, Khalil Herbert seems like he can get 90 yards rushing out of him when he was having to take the brunt of the work. And then obviously, Deontay Foreman, the big running back that plays hard, gets numbers. And Roshan Johnson, like I expect Roshan to actually be relatively successful in this league too. So
I think Foreman's actually going to be pretty good for the Bears. Unfortunately, I actually think that was a really good pickup.
I mean, the Bears are also upgraded their offensive line. We have the Bears in the top half of the league now in the offensive line. I think
they're going to run the ball pretty well this year. So
especially with Fields, yeah, holy cow.
Well, Fields gives them a threat too. So
yeah, it's going to be like the Ravens. Like we're going to see Ravens and Bears top rushing yards, even though Bears running back room 27, and then like Ravens running back room is 22. So I mean, it's like they're still going to finish towards the top in the league in yards, despite that.
Yep. I'll go with the Dolphins here.
Yep.
28. Raheem Mostert, super fast, crazy fast. Dolphins still might be the fastest team overall, and they just
Mhm.
added to it with some of these picks too. Jeff Wilson Jr. I think is a solid back. Devin Achane is, I'll talk about fast. He can fly, so he fits the mold of what they're looking for. Salvan Ahmed is also another speedy back. Miles Gaskin's been around for a while. Not necessarily a blazer as far as speed, but he's just kind of a complete back. And then Alec Ingold, you mentioned, is one of the better top three, probably 3 or 4 fullbacks in the league. So I actually think it's a pretty good room. I just think it's um, an underutilized room. They aren't going to run
I
the
think it's
ball.
kind of like the Chiefs. There's just not a bunch of superstars in there,
They
right? I
aren't going
mean,
to run. They don't run the ball much, right? They look
mhm.
for big plays, explosive plays in the passing game and in the running game, and the running game is just there to keep teams honest. Is all there that is there. So.
Continue to provide like, everything that they already have with speed and athleticism.
Right, and I
Right.
don't really blame them with the speed they have on the outside, and Waddle and Tyreek Hill, but maybe run the ball a little bit more. So maybe then Tua doesn't die, because we might see him perish on the field if this keeps up.
He's the next DeMar Hamlin, man.
Yeah, we might have some issues here.
29. You can definitely see that. I feel like this is where the drop off hits a little bit, but the Texans.
Yeah,
I'm going to take here at 29. Damian Pierce. I actually really like Damian Pierce. Still, I'm pretty high on him out of Florida. Devin Singletary spent 3 years, I think, with the Bills. Gonna see if a new area is good for him. Mike Boone has been in the league for like 8 years too. A lot of time with that Vikings. Dare Agumbawale has been there with the Bucks for several years. And then they got Andrew Beck at fullback, who I believe is a former Dolphin and Saint. So
yeah, not a. I mean, I don't hate the top two there though at all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, hmm.
This is where it's rough. I like to look at those last
Yeah,
three
but
teams. I was
even
like,
even
ooh,
I look at a team. I'll take the Bills here. I'll even look at them, and I don't hate. I could see this kind of working out because you've got guys who have shown flashes on this team, right? James
yeah.
Cook, Dalvin's brother. I mean, liked him in college. Never was the same production as Dalvin Cook, but still same skill set, I guess. Just to not that
Same
high,
haircut. Yeah.
same haircut. Damian Harris has proven he can be a pretty decent back in the league at times. Latavius Murray is always like just a touchdown vulture. And he's been around forever, so he's a veteran. Uh, Naeem Hines has proven time and time again that he's a
I
solid
say
back.
when you're saying it out loud, it sounds like a lot better of a room than where
Yeah,
we're
it,
putting them here
it
at
is.
30.
It actually is. You could probably put them anywhere between like 24 and 30, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be mad at 24 even. Yeah.
No, because you look at it, and the top 4 guys have proven themselves in the league. Jordan Mims and then Reggie Gilliam rounded out, but those top 4 guys have definitely proven themselves as solid backs at times in the league. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them is not on the roster, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like Latavius Murray is like 33 now. It's like, is he going to finally be
old.
phased out?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
little old. Naeem Hines probably sticks because he's a good receiver. James
And
Cook is a
return
young
man. He
guy.
can be a return man too.
Yeah, James Cooks is the young guy, so he'll be around. So it's probably between Murray and Harris to see which one sticks as the actual number 2 or 3 running back. So
That's why the odds are so high that Dalvin lands somewhere in like the AFC East is just so he can play James twice a year, right?
oh yeah,
Oh man. All right. I think I'm gonna take the Cardinals here to not be last. James Conner is still considered a top half right. I would probably say a lot of people would put James Conner right around 16, best running back in the league right now. I like Keontae Ingram is just not enough, really. I think he's pretty low overall on this list. Corey Clement spent a lot of time with the Eagles. Good at Wisconsin. And then Tyson Williams kind of just, I remember he was the guy that everyone was like bidding all their auction money on for free agency for the Ravens for a couple games there at the beginning. Because he had stellar games with the Ravens. So, I mean, he showed he's capable of these 100-yard games too. It's just they have a bad offensive line this year too. We ranked the Cardinals O line at 30. So it's gonna not bode well for the running backs who already don't look super deep.
Yeah. So that means I'm going with the Bucks. I think they're gonna have a tough time this year.
There, and we rank the Bucks O line at 29, so it's also not a great.
Rashad White, Chase Edmonds. I actually like Chase Edmonds. I think he had some good moments with Arizona, and he's fast. Rashad White, I don't hate. Keyshawn Vaughn showed some moments with them last year. Patrick Laird.
The Dolphins. Those are the years of the Dolphins. One of the few white running backs left in the league.
Exactly, isn't horrible, I guess, and he's a white running back, so he makes the list. So I mean, it's not a great room. They're easily the worst, I would think. If you look at it, because even like you said, I was talking up my number 30 as like they actually have some proven backs. So nobody on this list is actually proven as much as anybody else, I would say. So, they've shown flashes here and there. Rashad White's had some good games. Chase Edmonds had probably a good half a season or so, 10 games or so. Keyshawn Vaughn had a couple pretty decent showings, but yeah, not a great team. And I don't think the numbers will be there to have us move them up at the end of the year because they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle.
Yeah. So to close this out, I kind of want to talk about the running backs left here in free agency. Zeke Elliott is one, but I don't see a whole lot left there. If Zeke gets signed to a team, I would maybe bump him up 2 to 3 spots, maybe, because he might even be a third running back on a team at this point.
I mean, again, how old Zeke now?
He's probably 31, 32.
Yeah. I think
running backs age though, he's probably like 71, so it's totally different.
27.
He's 27.
Yep.
He's got miles on that though. He's been this will be his eighth year, and this will be like his 8th year in the league, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's still he's got a lot of mileage. He was a workhorse for years there at the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys don't want to bring him back. I mean, I get why. You could see like even 2 years ago he started to fall off, and that's why and Tony Pollard has probably been the better back anyway. So
I mean, so guys that are still like there's Zeke Elliott's out there, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Mark Ingram, Giovanni Bernard, JD McKissick. There's still some guys out there that probably can contribute to. I think Kenyon Drake is still there. I actually like Justin Jackson quite a bit too. Marlon Mack is 27.
I wouldn't hate if the Lions wanted to sign Justin Jackson to like a practice squad deal, like everything like they did last year. And just
I know Craig Reynolds is such a high character guy there, but I actually would take Justin Jackson as my 3 before I would take Craig Reynolds.
Craig Reynolds is not as good as Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson's way better, I think.
It's just but Craig Reynolds is known for character. He's such a good character.
And I like Craig Reynolds. I think Craig Reynolds is solid, but they keep him around for locker room stuff, and that's great. And you need that, right? Especially if it's your third running back. He's a good special teams player too. He'll figure it out. But if you're really trying to just straight upgrade your running back room, Justin Jackson. I mean, notice Justin Jackson was getting carries ahead of Craig Reynolds last year.
Yeah.
So, I think Justin Jackson's better. So.
I mean, it's like Leonard Fournette there. Leonard Fournette's actually older than Zeke even. He's 28. Yeah. McKissick is 29. Mark Ingram's 33. Burkhead's 33. Bernard is 31.
I wouldn't sign any of the 30-year-old backs. But if I
don't know if I'd sign any over 29 either. I don't like Kenyon Drake is 20. Kenyon Drake's 29. But
yeah, I mean, I would consider Zeke for sure if I'm a team, depending on what kind of position. I mean,
I think Cook is the obvious one right now because I still don't feel like Cook has the mileage that Zeke does.
No, Dalvin Cook's easily the best, maybe player on the market.
I would actually say Kareem Hunt's probably better than Zeke market value wise for me too.
Yeah, I like Kareem Hunt.
So yeah, there's still some dudes out there, and I think with Zeke and Kareem specifically, you could jump a team up to maybe 4 spots, 5 spots if it's the right situation.
Dalvin Cook on the Patriots, like they say he's going to, I would jump them up a lot of spots.
I don't know if I'd say top 10. That's what I want to talk about here with Cook odds right now. Patriots are the best odds to land him, and we put the Patriots. here at 24. And
I would put them
I would
at
put
like
I would put
9
them at like 12
10.
or 13.
I would consider them almost like 9 or 10, something maybe 11. Like they're jumping up into the close to top 10, easily in the
Yeah.
top 10. I mean, at
And
that point, that's a stacked room at that point. So
yeah, that would change with the Dolphins being the number two best odds. We have the Dolphins rated at 28. And you look at their room right now with Mostert. Cook would be the immediate starter. Whereas I
Cook,
think Cook with the
Cook will
Patriots
probably
might
move
actually
them
be
up to
number
like
two with Ramondre.
16 or 17. I would say Cook will move a team 10 spots pretty easily, depending on the team. I think could easily move.
I'm looking at it with the Dolphins situation. I think he's obviously the most talented running back that would go there. Whereas I think with the Patriots would probably use committee with him, like almost 50-50, maybe even give Ramondre a couple more, just with the protection and the mileage on Cook compared to Ramondre Stevenson. They're gonna ride out Stevenson, I think, a little bit more. And then another team, the Jets. So yeah, obviously we're looking at all the AFC East teams besides the Bills. Because he doesn't want to be on the same team as his brother, of course. So yeah, the Jets we ranked here at 10. So that really changes things, right?
They would move into the top 5. I don't know if I'd put him number 1.
I don't know if I'd put him higher than 5, honestly, because I think the distance between like Michael Carter and Brees Hall, like, and then it's nobody, but like obviously that's still 3 crazy running backs. I don't know. Yeah, 4, maybe 4.
4. Yeah, 3 or 4, I'd say.
Who do we have ranked at 4? We have the Packers here at 4 with Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. That's interesting. I actually might put them ahead of that.
I'd put them ahead of the Packers because they'd have 3 good backs at that
So
point.
Titans are at 3. So do you put them ahead, especially with Hassan Haskins out? That's even
Yeah, I'd probably
considering.
put them ahead of the Titans as well. So I put them number 2. Who do we have 1? Is
We
the
have, so we have the Browns at 2 and we have the 49ers 1. I don't think they pass those.
No. You might have an argument for the Browns. That would probably be a room. I just think Nick Chubb's better than Dalvin Cook. So
That's crazy how much the Jets could change, especially like Aaron Rodgers there now that they're primed and ready to get
yeah, they're trying
into
to
it
make a push.
because their defense.
If they go like 10-7 or something, I hope they do. I really do.
Their O line still is not good though. I mean, Aaron
if they
Rodgers
go
is
like
going to.
10-7 or even like 11-6, what a disappointment that would be. Like if they're like just okay, because I don't see them being bad. I just really don't see it happening.
Defense was already very solid last year.
Defense is really good. They were really good last year. They kept him in most games. They were winning games despite Zach Wilson and despite Mike White as their quarterback. Yep. So
and Joe Flacco,
Joe Flacco, who should have probably been the starter from the beginning because I think he was the best one. But like they were winning games despite their quarterback play. Now they're going to win games because of their quarterback play. They should be pretty good. I really think they're going to be.
They're an AFC contender as of right now, that's for sure. And then the last one I'd talk about here would be the Broncos. Every other team behind the Broncos have so low of odds to get him, but Broncos we have at 23, and that's Javonte Williams, Samaje P. I mean, so yeah, he's right. He's splitting time with Javonte Williams. Samaje P. Ryan's going back to his Bengals days where
that would be an interesting team for him to go to though, because that'd be a pretty good team at that point. I mean, Russ,
Sean Payton there now too, man. Yeah,
Sean Payton, Russ, Dalvin Cook.
The offensive line is the number 6 ranked offensive line in our
team. That offense would be pretty nasty. That offense would be really good.
It's a real opportunity for Russell to get his mojo back.
Yeah, that might be a good fit for him too. You know, another back there that can be a bell cow, so he doesn't need to do everything.
I would move them. I would move them top 14. I would think.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 12, 11, 10.
Well, they would be pushing top 10. I don't think they'd get there, just because the depth isn't there. But yeah,
they wouldn't be. I don't see right now. We have the Jets at 10, so I don't think they'd be better than the Jets right now because I still like Michael Carter and Brees Hall over that. But it's interesting to think about. I mean, next week we'll talk about D-Hop and his odds, and when we finish our offensive positions with wide receiver, and then work our way to the 3 defensive position groups to close it out. But yeah, man, it's kind of, we're starting to see these rankings pan out a little bit. The Ravens and Chiefs were destroying everybody in rankings, and they got humbled a little bit in the running back room with the Chiefs going 26 and the Ravens at 22. And in fact, now the Ravens are the best ranked team with 39 total added up. And then the Chiefs are 2 behind at 41. I got to see who's last. Who's last?
Where are the Lions?
86. They have 86 total. So let me sort it a second here. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12. They're ranked 12. So Ravens, Chiefs
team in the NFL.
as of now, right now, yeah, as of now. And I think obviously, I think they'll probably be maintained, maybe go up a little bit with wide receiver when they close that out. But I mean, Ravens,
their DBs should make them go up.
Yep, linebackers probably going to be. Yeah.
D line should make them probably stay the same or maybe go up a little bit.
I would say move up a little bit.
Linebacker might bring them down. That's the worst part.
That's going to be the tough spot there. But like you can see, like the teams that are top 4 right now, top 5, like it's nuts. It's Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, Bengals. Like those are all playoff and a potential conference championship game guys. Yep. So
yeah, and then I'm really high in the Lions, and I think they can win 12 games, possibly. But I think when you look at these other teams' rosters and things like that, like the Lions have a lot of potential. Like there's a lot of like, if this guy plays like he did at the end of the year last year, like if Jared Goff is like that quarterback the whole year and healthy and like looks really good, like they could be really good. If Jahmyr Gibbs can be really good right off the rip, they could be this good. If David Montgomery is as good, if not better than Williams, they could, you know what I mean? If the O-line is the number 1 O-line in the NFL, like they could do this. But like there are still a lot of what ifs, and that is my only worry about it. Is like this roster still has holes, and it's like, okay, like they went out and spent some money. They signed some guys that, to 1-year contract. I mean, Gardner Johnson to a 1-year deal, like some kind of not dangerous deals, but some really deals that signal they're going for it. I don't know if it's a little early or so that's kind of my worry, because I think there's a lot of these teams out there that like you look at the top 5 teams and you're like, they're clearly better than Lions. Like clearly. I don't think it's close.
So we have them ranked at a NFC. They're the 5th best NFC team out of the top 12 there. So they're at 12, but they're the 5th best NFC team. And you could make an argument that this is as of now. So the Giants and Seahawks are also ahead of them with the 49ers and Eagles. So the Giants are kind of being sneaky good.
The Giants actually, I think, are actually pretty good. I think the Seahawks are due for a slight regression. I think they kind of not going to get lucky last year, but they were. I mean,
I guess if we don't put so much weight into their head coach and special teams, right, where we have their special teams at 6, their coach at 10, like if you take that away, it's a bunch of mediocrity.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're okay, and like Gino like was good, and we'll see if he takes another step or it was just kind of an aberration. I do like the running backs though. I mean, I do like Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. I mean, I do like I do like a lot of their position groups, but like nothing is.
Their worst position group is actually ranked 19th, which is still nothing to complain about. That's offensive line is 19.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, if you really think about that, it's
pretty good.
That's when you don't have a single position in the top 20, in the bottom 20, like that's nice.
Pretty good. So I think they're going to be solid.
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out as things go on, because obviously we know their wide receiver room is going to be solid with DK and Lockett, and they got Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's going to raise them up even more.
Yeah. That could be. I don't know. I don't like the Seahawks. I don't think they're going to be that good. I don't think they're that good.
It's when you think about the Seahawks, it's like, nah. And then you like, just on paper though, they're coming out on top on a lot of things. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll do wide receivers next week before we move on to defense. But thanks for checking out the 6-3 podcast, and we will see you next week.
See you.